What happens when ERP stops being just a system of record and starts becoming a system of intelligence? Welcome to Admiral Navigator, the podcast where we help business leaders navigate ERP modernization, operational transformation, and the future of intelligent business systems. I'm Dominick Zappia, partner at Admiral Consulting Group, and today we're talking about the intersection of Business Central, AI analytics, and smarter decision-making. I'm joined today by two great guests from Data Courage, Tristan Threlkeld, Director of Sales and Business Development, and Ryan Peterson, Director of Data and AI North America. Today we're exploring how organizations can move beyond traditional ERP systems and use AI, automation, and modern analytics to transform finance, operations, and decision-making. So let's dive in and hear what they have to share. Hey, Tristan. Hey, Ryan. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Dominic. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
How's things going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, staying pretty busy.
Good. That's good. That's a good thing. Hey, so, Ryan or Tristan, I know why we partner with you,
Yep.
being the AI experts that you are, but maybe you could just give me a little bit on why you've decided to, to partner with Admiral and work with us as a strategic partner.
I would say it's Dominic. We've got you and I have worked together for many years before even my moving over to Data Courage and working with you here. And it ties to that. It's more about how you do business at Admiral, the customers that you work with, and your approach. You're all about the customer, which is what we're at. How can I help? That's kind of your mentality, and it's the same way with us. Even though we're doing different things, it's still very much the same. And it's how can we help the customer, continue to get results, get improvement, and be able to help run their business more efficiently at the end of the day, right? So
Right.
we see in how you do that with your customers, and we'd like to be obviously involved with partners that have that approach. So that's why we've continued our relationship, Dominic, for over the many years we have from company to company, is because I think it's how each of us operate and handle business, and more so how we work with customers. And I would say the phone's never off in a way, even though it should be.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It is all about the customer, and in the world today, customer service is just not what it used to be in any industry.
Right.
So we try to make it go back to the old days when people called or picked up, and somebody picked up the phone. So, but in any case,
Absolutely.
so what? I guess my one of my questions is, a lot of companies now on Dynamics products from SLGP, they're slowly starting to move over to Business Central. And one of the things that I was curious about, and I see it with some of my own clients who are doing that transition, but from your standpoint, what are some of the challenges that you're seeing, or the struggles that people are having with moving to data migration within Business Central, adding AI analytics? Like it's much more modernized, going from GP, which looks like a product from the 90s, which was a great product and still works well, but
Yeah.
now you're seeing a much more modern approach to the ERP. So what are some of the struggles you're seeing with these Business Central migrations with some of your folks you're working with?
I think some of the things that I've seen most commonly be an issue there is the data side of it, right?
Yeah.
Solomon and Great Plains are quite a bit of a different structure than Business Central, especially when it comes to GL account structures and dimensions within the system, right? And so that's usually one of the biggest kind of brain teasers for folks that are in the Great Plains market, is kind of switching that way of thinking, that everything doesn't have to be a separate segment, right, in Great Plains, but actually could be a dimension inside of Business Central. And even that word dimension can throw people for a loop, right? Like, what are you actually asking me, right? It's like things like your departments, your locations, those kind of elements. Oftentimes in Solomon and Great Plains were baked into the GL account.
The account,
So-
yeah. So, when we're moving folks over from GP or SL, or even QuickBooks and moving to BC, one of the questions that's always asked is, can you bring over all my transactions, every transaction I made in the last 20 years?
Right.
And it's not something we typically want to do or
Right.
recommend that be done. So in that particular case, like if a client wanted to do that, are there other ways than just bringing that data into Business Central to have that data in a repository somewhere for
Absolutely.
them to go back to?
Yeah. And, and Ryan and I both can speak to that. That's exactly why partners like you and others that are in this space work with Data Courage, is because we're able to help with that legacy data. Just like you mentioned, a lot of customers, I want all of it brought over. That's also part of that struggle to move from GP, SL, QuickBooks into a modernized platform, is because like all my legacy data, what is going to happen to it? I need everything, right? There is now an approach that you can take where you can bring in some of the legacy data directly into that system, the new one you're moving into, so you can have modernized and some of that historical data there, right there in your
Hmm.
hands of like say the last 2, 3 years, but still also have access to all of that, the rest of your legacy data. And what we would do is put it in a data lake, right? And then that where you're getting down to one source of truth, essentially. Or that way, all your data, where your legacy data, your current data from your new modern ERP, plus all the other data sources you have that you're using, to run business. Now you can sync them all up into the data lake within Fabric, so you can get that one source of truth. And with that allows you as a business to truly actually go after AI to help you run your business more efficiently, helping your users, your employees adopt AI to help them be more efficient with their day to day, because now you're accessing all the business data, not piecemeal. So
Yeah.
that's at a high level, right? I carried a lot of ground there, but that's
Hmm.
what customers are doing today with partners like yourselves. What we're doing essentially on, these new projects, right? Helping them keep that legacy data across the board, but with a smoother and quicker transition into the new modern ERP.
And if I could add one extra thing there
Sure.
too, I
Sure.
think the amount of stuff that we can do with data folding inside of a data lake space like Tristan was talking about, it's really as much as your imagination can come up with, right?
Mhm.
If this old field needs to map into this new dimension and it's called different things, that doesn't matter so much when we're doing a data model build, right? But those kind of things are very tricky sometimes when you're trying to implement Business Central.
Mhm.
And so it's an easier path of just saying, okay, guys, we're gonna rip this band-aid. We're gonna do all dimensions. Your GL account's gonna be thinner, and we'll handle all of the mapping of those different elements in the data model itself, right? Making the BC implementation easier and actually more modern approach, right? It makes it so that you can build it the way you would probably want to, Dominic,
Sure.
right? Rather than having to be forced into the, you know, like you mentioned, a product from the 90s. If they've been in GP for that long, they've got 30 years of transactions in there that they're worried about losing, right? So
Right.
it's easier for us to do it in the data model.
So Ryan, just for even myself, you talk about data lake, you talk about fabric. Can you just give, or Tristan, Ryan, just give us a little bit more on that? Like, what is fabric? What is data lake?
Sure.
For those who may not be familiar.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Microsoft has made a cloud version of all of their SQL stack from the past, right? And the term for that is now Fabric. Fabric is a group of applications that do different things, right? So, like your databases are out there, Power BI is included. The way that we move data from one place to another or transform the data, all of these elements and different tools are all kind of packaged up together into what we call Fabric,
Yep.
right? And so it's as Microsoft says, it's the thread that weaves together all of your data is Microsoft Fabric, right? And so that's kind of the premise there. When we start talking data lakes and lake houses and data warehouses and like why are these all they sound the same but they're not, the reason is because of data has grown over the years, right?
Mhm.
And so the original warehouse was created back in the 80s by Ralph Kimball, and as time has gone by, as data has gone through the roof with how much we get day to day, new technologies have came about, and one of those is the lake house, right? And so the lake house is essentially a modeled or a structured database, much like the data warehouse, but it's built on what we call a data lake. And a data lake, the best analogy I've ever heard is It's a lake, very much like a lake versus a warehouse. So in a warehouse, you go down a line and you've got rows and columns and shelves. It's all very structured, right? But in a lake, if you go to the lake, you know that there's a surface of the lake. That's really all you know that's in there. You have no idea what's in the lake. Anything could be in that lake, right? And that's very much the same as with a data lake, right? It's a unstructured place for us to pull any kind of data. We don't have to worry about all of the same structural needs that we do inside of a warehouse. This makes so we can push JSON feeds up into the lake or into the data lake. We could have giant blob files or images in the lake, right? And so the lake is an unstructured data storage place, right? And then when we start modeling that together, we build what we now call a lake house. And so,
Okay.
So
perhaps a little long-winded,
quick.
but that's the why those all
Yeah.
are all termed.
what I would say, like to maybe because it's a lot to trim it up in more my languages. It's the thread that weaves all your data together into an ETL tool on steroids, giving you one source of truth. That's what it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
Sure.
So to Ryan or Tristan, so just let me understand, and I'm not an expert in this, that's why I'm asking the questions. So like if a client's on QuickBooks, all right, and they have QuickBooks data, and they don't want to bring all that data over to BC, we could put that out on Data Lake or Fabric, and they have access to that data?
Correct.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Fabric
That's
data
right.
lake.
And that's a standard practice for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Maybe it's QuickBooks, maybe it's another third-party system that a lot of these systems, you have to pay some sort of subscription cost to keep your data, even if you're not using it, right? And
Right.
so that's where pulling your data into Fabric allows you to kind of have it just stored there. And then, yes, to your point, easily accessible from anywhere, really. As long as you have an internet connection, you should be able to connect and authenticate securely.
So let's say if a client, in certain industries, clients have very vertical market solutions that they utilize with Business Central. They, especially in the field of, medicine, they may have they may have a medical billing system that does all of the billing because that's very unique. You're not going to do that in an ERP. So in that particular case, a client could take that data from that medical billing system, put it in a data lake along with BC, and then analyze that data together?
Correct.
You're getting it. Absolutely. And that's one of the neat things with Fabric is we can build these in, and each one of those could be its own semantic model, or basically a data model, if you will, right? And then inside of Fabric, we can actually tell an AI agent to start understanding that, hey, this is my medical billing data, and this is my, maybe it's my purchasing invoicing data, right? And we can actually have that analysis happen in a very secure fashion and work for it. And so there are a number of Microsoft supports the medical industry through Fabric, and there are a lot of certifications around that security level for it too.
Yep.
So and how are you presenting the data? Is it through Power BI or another tool? Like, how do you visually
Power BI.
see the
The
data?
answer I would say is it depends, right? But typically through Power BI. Power BI is the tool that's going to be within Fabric's toolkit, if you will. But at the end of the day, it's a database that can be connected to using any front-end tool, including an AI agent or some sort of system that's going to read it into another kind of reporting tool, right? So,
Okay. So how does this differ, I guess, from these solutions that are out there that, these what I'll call like financial planning and analysis type tools,
Yep.
where it does that, but it also allows you to bring in data from multiple sources to analyze. This is kind of what you're describing without having that application.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you could absolutely perform FP&A tasks inside of Fabric. You bet.
Yeah. So like you're referring to like, solutions that are providing like data analytics, that type of stuff.
Right.
Right. That provides data warehouse, right? What is different with those solutions compared to Fabric with the data lake? Well,
Exactly.
with Fabric, it's the Microsoft stack first. Second, the cost. The cost starts at $270 a month and then goes up from there. So you can, that's your one cost only. Yes, your data usage. So you're not paying a fee for another solution. So whether it's a one-time cost that you pay multiple thousands, hundred thousands of dollars for, or you pay a monthly subscription or annual, right? For these other solutions with Fabric, it's $270 a month, unlimited licenses. You need seats for
Okay.
Power BI, but everybody understands that modeling of it, and they just need a seat for it. So you're not having to pay for software and the seats to be able to view. I want to be a view only, right? I want to view reports, I want to view dashboards. Oh, but I also need seats for those that are building the reports and dashboards. That goes away. Okay. Now
Okay.
you're just paying a software subscription fee for Fabric, and then you're utilizing Power BI or some other front end, maybe even Excel. You get a combo of the two, or a Tableau. There's so many other data visualization tools you can use. But when you're looking at Fabric and cost effectiveness, you don't have to look and get all the other components now. You get the data lake at a subscription cost per month. It starts low, and depending on how much data you're using, will go up, yes, but it's a known cost. So you're going to be in control of that. You don't have to then pay all the fees for the others. Again, you get unlimited users, if you will, right, off of that.
Yeah.
So that's another huge component and cost savings. Both of
Okay.
these projects, any way you look at it, has to have an implementation and build behind it.
Right.
Well, with this, instead of having to build it to another software that's out there and meet their standards and their components, now it's actually way more open because of being in the Microsoft stack and being in Fabric within that data lake. There is so much more you can actually do, and room you can do things with that you don't have the guardrails on, but you also do. So don't think there's no guardrails. There's massive guardrails and huge security, but there's a lot of room to work with there that you don't get with the other solutions that you pay an absorbent amount to have, frankly.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So
Right.
there's
And
some of the
Microsoft's
differences
making
there. Ryan, I'm sure there's a lot
sorry.
more that goes with it. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
no,
yeah,
you're
no,
good.
he touched on Excel being one of the tools there, and Microsoft's actually been making a lot of strides to make sure that Excel does stay as a relevant tool with this, and as such has a Fabric connection baked into the solution now, so you can right from Excel actually connect to a Fabric lakehouse and start
Wow.
querying your data or pulling it into a table and then pivoting it around and doing whatever you want, right? And so it is true. It's a means of democratizing the data is how they say it, right? Trying to
Mhm.
make it so that everyone can get access to it from whatever tool that they're most comfortable with, whether that's a dashboard or an Excel deck. It's up to the user, right?
So, and
And
I
then you've
guess
got a PowerPoint connection. Sorry, Dominic.
yeah, no, that's fine. So I guess the implementation cost can obviously vary depending on your requirements, but um, typically with the implementation, is there a lot of maintenance that needs to be done typically in this, in this environment when you're doing this with Fabric and Data Lake?
There's a certain amount of maintenance that should be at least monitored and kept an eye of.
Okay.
Microsoft's done a good job of giving us exactly what that's a monitor tab inside of Fabric that we can use and kind of see how everything's been performing, all of our executions that kind of keep data updated and such, right? So yeah, there's a small amount of maintenance there, but nothing that if somebody's been in the database field for a little bit of time, they should be able to kind of suss that out.
Right, right. Good information. So, as you guys know, companies have volumes and volumes of data, but they have no insight into it. They have no idea
Yeah.
what the data is. They
Right.
just know they have volumes of data. So, how are you approaching it with folks to take advantage of the data they have and then utilize it to make more informed business decisions? Like, how are you engaging with the client to have them understand they could take that data and make it so much more valuable?
I would say that that's where our AI NBC apps come into the picture, because what you're speaking to is essentially data insights, right? And
Yeah.
that's something that customers have always like looked for and wanted, but it's been hard to really, I would say, explain and also get to, frankly, because I look at it like a pyramid, and I know that's we're talking, so let's visualize it together, if you will. Your base is typically like, say, your ERP or QuickBooks, or Excel, right? And then from there you level up to more of a modernized ERP, such as Business Central, right? And that has obviously Excel, but the capability to get you to Power BI. So you're looking at, you have some base reporting from QuickBooks and some maybe Excel. Then you level up to better, more in-depth reporting, potentially getting analytics when you get to a modern ERP. But the next step, and if you look at a third layer, is that analytics, the KPIs, where you're looking at dashboards and those components, right? And that's been the max. That's where the market and the industry, not just in Dynamics, but across the board, is kind of reached, plateaued for a while. AI is allowed to change that and provide deeper insights to the data insights, right? And that's where data courage sits and lives with the apps that we've built that play in and live inside Business Central, from financial intelligence, item intelligence, customer intelligence, and the chief accountant assistant. All of those are, in line for those departments with what you're talking about, providing data insights, being able to say, well, why does these numbers look like this? And now you get an actual answer that's data backed, and it's your data that's backing it up, along with an explanation of what that is, right? What's going on.
Right. So how I'm very, I'm familiar with your apps, and I'm going to plug them here. But before we do that, what is, and I know you have some things you can show as well, but what are some of the differences? Because you see Copilot all over BC, you see the Copilot, logo all over. And there's certain things you can do with Copilot within Business Central, obviously. But
Right.
from your standpoint, what are what is the functionality, or what are the benefits that your apps are bringing to BC across these different functional areas that Copilot is not able to do? And if you want to, I know you have the apps loaded up. If you want to, bring up the financial app, that's great. The operations app, whatever. But maybe we could just kind of talk through it as we're looking at it.
So I would say something before Ryan, jumps all the way in, is that it's providing, it's being, now you're able to be told what your KPIs should be, is one of the things I would say. It's also staying in its domain of expertise, right? Where Copilot is looking at all of it, everything. And sometimes your data is too much for it to quite, to frankly understand. And it can't truncate the questions you're asking to really provide the answers you're looking for. And with that, you don't have to train these apps on your data for them to work. They're truly plug and play. You want to be able to just have an app that's available in your environment and use it. Don't have to be trained on how to use it. Don't have to train your data of what's going on and how they're trying to talk to each other and work together. No, just plug it in and start asking questions to your data. Not like,
Okay.
and then start thinking, well, what should you ask? No, don't think of it that way. What shouldn't you ask is the better question. Ask it everything and iterate off of it. That's something that our apps provide that, frankly, Copilot isn't able to do today, and I'm not sure if it will be in the future.
Okay. So and I'll let Ryan or Tristan, like, what is the effort to plug this in and get it going? I mean, this is like within an hour, 2 hours, or how
Yeah,
quickly?
this thing, the one that we're seeing here, installs in less than a half hour. Basically, set up. You can install it from the App Store,
The App
right?
Store.
From Microsoft's App Store.
Yep.
And takes just a couple of things, and there's a wizard for that even. So it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And this is the type of tool you're going to use to, maybe see what, I may be being very vanilla, but if you're going to do an acquisition of a company, or if you're going to, bring a new product in, those are the type of questions you could ask, like what impact it'll have on the company.
Correct.
Oh, absolutely. The forecasting analysis of what's been done and where should we be going, that can be provided with this, is exactly that kind of thing. And it helps you identify trends that you might not have even known. Like Tristan said, you don't even have to worry about needing to know what question to ask. You can just say, what are the pressing issues that I should look
Right.
at? And to your point, if we were going through an acquisition, maybe I need to see a monetary, analysis of the company or of a division and see how that looks like. And it will actually create not only the detail behind it, but some analytical charts and graphs that help kind of demonstrate what that is, right? And so gone are the days where you have to really build a lot of financial reports manually. Honestly, like as you can see, the prompt gives you a certain amount of detail and charts. You can then take these and save these chats as a task, and then we can schedule that out with basically an agentic version of this that takes various chats, creates the reports, and sends them to you on regular schedule.
Okay. So the apps that you have, there's a financial app, there's a customer app, for customer analysis and such, and there's a vendor analysis, correct?
That's right. We actually have a suite of 9 apps in the App Store right now. The one I was just showing was financial intelligence, and then I'll actually show customer intelligence here for a quick second too, just to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. Nine total apps that all serve different purposes, right? And so the financial intelligence one we were sharing there is, great for accountants, financial advisors, CFOs, the whole financial team. Customer intelligence here, this would be more important for your sales team or your receivables team, right? And so this is giving us analysis for who are our best customers or who are our most out of, behind payment type of customers.
Right.
And we've also turned this agentic too, such that we can start to monitor it, right? And so if, let's say, one of your best customers starts sliding or before it becomes a real problem, we can actually have that notify us and we can then action it before it actually becomes a problem.
Yeah, to add into that for just a brief second is essentially you no longer have to run reports every morning to be on top of things. Now it's in your inbox as soon as you get up in the morning.
So from the other app that you have is, I think it's called Chief Accountant. And just give me a little bit on that, because that speeds up the monthly close, right? With if I'm not mistaken, maybe you can explain it better than I just
You're
did.
correct. So it's designed for accountants, yes, to help with month-end close, quarter close, year-end close, but going even beyond that, your daily and weekly tasks that you have. And for most accountants, those are manual processes. They got to, jump into Excel and then start checking, balancing things out. And it's one at a time. And then one area, one section of the business at a time. So it's a very lengthy, time-consuming process. Well, now they can take those tasks they're doing, those daily, those weekly, those month-end close, those quarter close, those year-end, and even audit backup and support. They can now do all of that within Business Central with the Chief Accountant Assistant. They're in charge. They're the ones that,
Right.
I say the user, they get to decide, and Ryan can speak and, talk more to this. But as you see on the screen, for those that are able to see on YouTube, I know those that are on the podcast aren't, but what we're showing is the Chief Accountant Assistant working right now. And what you're able to do is you say the task line, right? You set the task line number, you give, you select one, and then you're able to describe your own task line name. You set it up. And then where's it being pulled from? What GL are you trying to look, or GL area or range, what are you looking into to check? You're able to set that, okay? And then from there, you're able to describe in yes, no format what you're looking for and hasn't been done yet. Well,
Correct.
now,
And so some
again,
examples of that, like, do we have a document posted that starts with this letter, or, did we post our tax? Did we post a tax document for every vendor, or any kind of question that they would typically need to go through with that accounting end of month or audit process?
right.
Yeah.
So
And
now,
you could, the user define those tasks, obviously.
correct. The users define them. Yep. And taking that month-end close, Dominic, you've got customers that, take a lengthy process with their month-end close. Some take all month, some take 3 weeks, some take 2 weeks. And I would say those that are really refined with their process can get down to a couple of business days to a week, but they're really efficient with it, right?
Right.
So with our solution, what we've seen and what the customers have reported back to us is, hey, I've gone from a 3-week close cycle down to like 2 to 3 business days. I've gone from a 2-week, month-end close cycle down to, a day and a half to 2 business days. Those that are 2 weeks or less already have seen it go down to like a business day. So
Wow.
that's, that's straight up return on in your investment almost instantaneously, right? Then you're able to have your resources. It's not taking over their work. It frees them up to do more of their accounting job, right? You want to
Hmm.
have them focus more on the forecasting and what's next, not just recoup, and make sure, hey, do we get everything paid and do we have enough money to keep going to keep business, to be a payroll out, right?
Exactly.
This helps keep those things all in line in a much quicker and also efficient format, all inside
Right.
Business Central, never having to leave. Yet the user is in complete control. They're the ones that define it. They're the ones that decide when to run it. Human driven, AI powered. That's how it should be.
Right. 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 So, I mean, if you want to do other things within BC, that maybe one of the apps does not do,
Mhm.
you can certainly either build the app out further, or you could just build out that capability utilizing, AI. In other words, if, a client says, hey, this is one of my challenges,
Mhm.
it's very time consuming, it causes a lot of miscommunication and inefficiencies. You guys can just build something
Yep.
utilizing the tools, whether it's Power Automate, what AI and such, and just build it out to address that. Correct?
Correct. We'd either, depending on the request, right? We can either enhance our current apps because what you're kind of getting to is that all these apps are built in-house. In-house here, meaning with the data courage resources and team. We have a
Right.
dedicated team of data scientists that work on the apps and enhance them, every day. Plus, they're also working on new developments as well, like new app builds. Plus, we do custom, as you're referring to. Like, do you also do custom work? Yes, we also do custom AI builds. So it comes back to really what is that need? Did it arise from using our apps and it's like, hey, this is great. I like how it fits here, here, and here. But what I'm also missing but need to have is these components. Could you also, or could it also do that? Well, let's talk that out, right? So it's
Right.
either an enhancement or we, potentially build like an agent or something else AI related, or automation related for them. Yep.
So what are some examples of, like, just putting BC aside and the apps
Yeah.
aside for now? What are some of that customs work that you've done, or
Yeah.
development that you've done, that is completely independent of any the ERP? Like, because I'm sure you folks have done a lot of things that are unrelated to BC, but just like an example or two of where you've helped clients make these improvements utilizing AI.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you that that's stories based on how we got into AI, frankly. Is working with a customer from helping them handle their reporting and analytics, data warehousing, Power BI, and then they really grew out of that, but they needed further insights. And they say, this is great, but I also need the ability to see deeper and better understand our clientele. So we had a shoe company request, for that specifically. And we had already been working with AI and machine learning for a few years. We've been in AI for 10 years overall. But 7 years ago was roughly when that request came in. And we said, okay, give us about a month for this request. You want to better understand your clientele, who's buying what, how much, how often do they buy, age range, this, that, and the other. A lot of many more components that honestly you can't get in reporting and or building a dashboard with KPI metrics. It's just not going to pull that type of data over. So what do we do? Well, we'd already been working and developing with AI and machine learning for enhancing analytics and reporting. So how we kind of paired it together, because of their systems were outside of Dynamics. This data was not coming from the ERP. So we started working with it from some sample data and put I would say, um, potential project right together for them to see on what something can look
Mhm.
like, proof of concept. And it was able to turn results that was close to what they were looking for, but they saw what it could be. And they're like,
Mhm.
yes, we want to do this. So we worked hand in hand with them to really build out, um, their own AI solution that pulls in a lot of different data from a lot of different sources to be able to understand the whole business plus their customer base and to understand what's going on there. And from there, like we continue to build more for not only them, but a very popular soccer/football team club on a global level we've done that with as well. Yes, they're in Dynamics, but again, we didn't build it for Dynamics. This was built for the customer off of their specific request to, again, better understand their customers and everything that went into it, because they've got stadiums, they've got ticket sales, they've got, merchandise, they've got food and bev, so many different areas of revenue that's coming through that don't all hit the ERP. They need to
Right.
truly understand that and really, down to the nth degree, to the pennies, where's everything coming from and where does it go? And then where are we getting blocked, right? Where we're being held? What's slowing us down to be more efficient, not just for the customer side, but our operation side, okay? And so we helped with those components of building out AI, build for them to better understand the customers, et cetera, but also agents on what's going on with operations, right? And there's inefficiencies to speed those components up, taking the manual components out and putting automation in place where it needed to be. So there's kind of how we got our start in AI, if you will, 10 years ago, and the 7 years ago was our first custom build, and continuing from there. And that's where 4 years ago, after doing these multiple custom builds, we know we can continue to do that, but we saw an opportunity where I would say the SMB marketplace could benefit from using AI. And that's where we, with these custom builds, we pulled them back. We took a lot of customization off to see, could these be essentially downloadable on repeat and used on repeat for anybody that uses, say, Business Central. And so we continued off that build to where we launched our first product 4 years ago. And as Ryan mentioned during this podcast, we've got now 10 overall builds total, and another one that'll be delivered in the next couple of months, which I think will frankly blow people's minds on what you'll be able to do, and what you'll be able to ask, and the answers you're going to be able to get back, because it doesn't matter what system you're running anymore. Now you
Right.
can ask
Right.
questions to anything.
Another fun project that we've done, Dominic, is allowing us to pull data from any disparate system, right? So maybe it's BC, maybe it's your old system, kind of like what we were talking with GP before. Maybe you're using a support system like Zendesk or Monday, where all of your stuff is in a different system and it's completely separated from your ERP data. And that's where Fabric really starts to kind of bridge this gap, right? Because we can bring all that data into that same lake house, start building our semantic models and ontologies off this, and then we can actually have agents that maybe it's just in Teams, right? That we added an agent to your team, and it can actually be speaking through with your data as its backbone, right? And so one of the fun projects is we've got some real-time data that's as data's going through their warehouse, right? As things come in and go out, they're tracking it right then. It's real-time fed. They're doing that in Shopify, but that's real-time fed up to Fabric. Then we're analyzing it, pulling it back up. And then inside of Teams, they've got a chat agent that just kind of tells them where things are at. They can ask at any point in time who's working on what thing, and it knows, right? So
Wow.
you don't have to go hunt down somebody anymore to figure out who's working on it or what's the next thing you should work on. You can even just say, okay, you can turn Teams into your chatbot, if you will.
Wow. That's scary. No.
I mean,
It's amazing what we can do with it. Yeah.
so, I mean, I understand the scary component, but it's also not. It gives you the insight to the business, right? And at the end of
Sure.
the day, Dominic, with how again, how I know you guys operate as a partner, like, again, hand in hand with your customers, you're there to help, because it's one thing they're going to get answers, but to understand those answers and what to do with it is where they're going to lean on the partner to carry it forward, because AI can do a lot, but it can't do everything. And
Right. Right.
humans definitely need to be around and involved to really get AI to function.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And it's one of those things. A lot of clients don't even have an AI strategy. I mean, they just want to do AI, but they don't even know what they want to do with it, other than maybe check the spelling on an email or something like that. But I think one of the things is the risk associated with it, and the adoption of it. So how do you de-risk the journey with the client? How do you give them a little bit of a comfort level that, hey, there's a benefit to doing this? obviously it'll help their company become more profitable or whatever. But what are some of the things that you tell the client to make them feel a little more comfortable about taking the journey with AI?
You know, I think, and Tristan, I'll definitely toss this to you too. But I think one of the things that I would bring up is the old motto of garbage in, garbage out gets amplified with AI, right?
Mhm.
And so if you've got bad data,
Right.
if you've got dimensions that you're kind of lackadaisically applying, and not everything follows the same naming convention, all these kind of weird little nuances with data,
Right.
those kind of things kind of become little landmines for AI, right? Because then you go ask it like, hey, how did this one department do? Well, if only 10% of your transactions are flagged with that dimension, well, you're going to get a skewed response because it's not able to see that all this other stuff was part of that department too. You just didn't
Right.
tag it, right? And so
Right.
that's one of the main things that's a risk that people don't consider, is that sometimes it's just what your data foundation is. And so to de-risk it, I would say start looking at those processes right now, making sure that you are thinking about good data to go forward with, right? Because once you've got a good data set and AI on it, it really helps you with your decisions, right? To
Right.
to give you those insights to make those decisions off of them faster. But if you have bad data, those decisions might be skewed.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing to add
So
there.
I know we're closing in here, but just in closing, where do you see the future with regards to intelligent ERP? What does it look like? What are you folks preparing for? What do over the next 2, 3 years? Where do you see it all going with an intelligent ERP?
I see Fabric and AI becoming more and more imperative to businesses. It's like not just starting today, it's already started.
Right.
And if you're not already working with or trying, like when I say trying to figure it out, I don't mean like having discussions, like truly using AI to some capacity.
Right.
You're far behind, and I'm not trying to use that as a scare for you, but that's where technology is moving, is into those spaces completely. Fabric it's ERP agnostic, and actually it's a system almost pretty much agnostic. You're able to
Right.
pull from on-premise data to cloud-based data and everything in between. And it doesn't matter where it's essentially living as long as it's accessible, right?
Mhm.
And if there's data points, API calls, or custom APIs that can pull data out of it, or dump it into Excel. There's so many different ways. If you're able to grab that data, now you can use it. Like, quite
Right.
frankly, with Fabric and the data lake, it doesn't matter, where it is and what it's doing. If it's imperative to your business and what you guys do, you need it, you want that one source of truth, Fabric can actually get that for you. Okay. And then with AI, that's becoming more imperative to the daily operations, I would say, for companies,
Mhm.
for helping them with their day to day. It's not, I don't look at it as a replacer by any means. It's an enhancer, helping me be more
Right.
productive in my day, saving me valuable time that, gets eaten up with these manual processes and these pieces that AI can do in a matter of a couple of minutes. And that means that I'm getting
Right.
hours back in my day, meaning I'm not working till 7, 8 o'clock every night, right? I'm actually done by 5 and I can breathe a little bit to come into the next day. And then my days
Right.
become easier, more efficient overall. And it's not like, well, what am I doing? It's, oh, well, I've always been doing more. Now I can look again, continue to enhance the business. We're doing these here. Talked about the accounting team earlier, where everybody, you have a team that's working on month end close only. Depending on how big your
Mhm.
business is,
Mhm.
you have a full dedicated team that's only doing month end close. Imagine being able to trim their time in half, still using them for month end close, but with a solution that allows them to go faster, keeping them efficient, and then
Right.
being able to do again more, look more into the forecasting side of, well, we're doing this, this, this. Now, again, you're able to do a lot more with your day.
Yeah, yeah, no, agreed. It's less time doing, laborious task and more time spent
Yeah.
doing
And we're
analysis.
going to see we're going to see the ERP system get
Drastically.
more and more like that, right?
Yep.
There's going to be more and more automations built in with this, for various things, purchasing, invoicing, inventory management, right? We'll see more and more of this come into Business Central.
Yep.
I think the to your question, what's the future look like? I think the teams that are ready or familiar with using AI in a decision support role are going to be the ones that succeed here, right? I think that with every innovation and throughout history, we've never just said, "Cool, I guess I don't have to work," and then like
Right.
sat and twiddled our thumbs. Like that's not what's going to happen. People are going to continue to work, and we're going to find ways to push that boundary even further.
Right.
And so I would say get ready for that, right? Start using it. If your team isn't, I would say do a little mini hackathon, maybe an hour a week. Just tell them go try things, right?
Mhm.
Just try things out and see how they work and let us know what you found.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Those things
I
are
use
big
the
things.
I always use the example of Sears. They had the catalog that was 80 feet thick,
Yeah.
and they were the original Amazon, but they just didn't move forward with technology. So,
Right. Yeah, it's so true, right? If they
so
carried that into a
um,
website and easy to shop, they might be a bit, whole different story for them. But
exactly, exactly.
stick to
Hey
your tried
guys,
and true
listen, I
ways.
really appreciate you taking the time out of your day today. It was great talking to you and seeing you again, and
Same.
we'll be
Congrats.
talking again soon. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, Dominic. You
You too,
too.
Dominic.
Appreciate
Talk to
you
you
and the
soon.
Admiral team.
Tristan, Ryan, thanks for joining us and sharing your insights on the future of intelligent ERP and AI-driven operations. And thank you, everyone listening to Admiral Navigator. If today's conversation helped you think differently about Business Central and AI, please be sure to subscribe, share the episode, and connect with us at Admiral Consulting Group and Data Courage. We'd love to hear from you. We'll see you next time on Admiral Navigator.